the day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. I sat outside the hospital holding a positive pregnancy test. In a daze for a long time. My phone buzzed. It was my boyfriend of 8 years, Ethan. Leah, about getting married. Can we think about it a little more? Okay. It's not that I don't want to marry you. He seemed stunned by my immediate agreement. After a moment of silence, he mumbled that he wouldn't be home for dinner and hastily hung up. Ethan and I had been together for 8 years. We were supposed to get married soon. We started a business together right after graduation, and last year, it finally took off. We bought a car, made a down payment on a new house, and were about to start renovations. If I hadn't gotten sick, we might have had a soft, tiny baby sleeping in my arms next year. Since Ethan wasn't coming home, I made myself a simple bowl of vegetable noodles, wondering how I was going to tell him everything. After all, we had agreed last year to get married by the end of this year. My doctor, a kind woman not much older than me, advised against keeping the baby and urged me to start treatment immediately. She said that because I was so young, the cure rate was high, and I shouldn't be afraid. I wasn't that afraid, because I had Ethan. He would always be there for me. The doorbell rang. I was surprised Ethan would ring the bell. When I opened the door, a slightly drunk Ethan was leaning on a new employee we had hired last month, a recent college graduate named Chloe. Leah, we were entertaining a client. Mr. Miller had a bit too much to drink. His car is parked downstairs, Chloe said. Her face flushed as she smoothed her messy hair. She was wearing a pretty, floral sundress. I just brought him up. I can take a cab home. Ethan, his eyes glazed over, collapsed onto the sofa and fell asleep. I took his suit jacket. It was tinged with the faint scent of Chloe's orange blossom perfume. Thank you, Chloe, I said with a smile. It's too late. Let me drive you home. Chloe politely refused at first but eventually gave in. I don't feel comfortable with you taking a cab alone at this hour. Leah, when are you two getting married? Chloe asked tentatively on the way. I froze, thinking of Ethan's call earlier. I forced a smile. Well, wait another couple of years for the company to stabilize, and for my condition to stabilize. Oh, I see. Chloe looked out the window, lost in thought, then suddenly looked down and smiled sweetly. I get it. After dropping Chloe off, I parked the car and remembered the vitamin E ID bought was in the glove compartment. I opened the passenger side door and noticed a small, square, torn foil packet wedged in the seam of the seatbelt buckle. The lubricant from the packet seeped onto my hand. I froze. I suddenly thought of Chloe's sundress, her flushed face when she opened the door, Ethan's phone call this afternoon, and the way he'd avoided my gaze, feigning drunkenness. I sat stunned in the passenger seat. So many things had happened in one day. I didn't even know where to begin processing it all. Ethan and I started dating during our freshman year of college. He pursued me. At the time, I was working at a beef noodle soup shop near campus to pay for my tuition. Ethan fell for me at first sight. To win me over, he, a bona fide rich kid, ate nothing but beef noodle soup for a whole year. The day I agreed to be his girlfriend, he got so sick of it that he threw up in the shop. To this day, he can't stand the smell. Knowing I was proud, he ate with me in the cheap cafeteria, always forcing fruit and milk into my hands. What if my future wife becomes malnourished? Knowing I hated the smell of smoke, he quit cold turkey. Once, when a craving hit him hard, he pulled out a lollipop in front of his stunned friends, his face turning red as he tried to save face. Pfft. What do you guys know? This is what a man with a family does. I never really understood what Ethan saw in me. He was 6', handsome, and came from a wealthy family, but Ethan didn't care. He said when you love someone, you just fucking love them. He was the stubborn type, the kind who'd walk a path to the bitter end once had chosen it. I saw that clearly the night he took me home to meet his parents on New Year's Eve. I stood awkwardly before them, clutching a basket of fruit. Ethan's parents were polite and welcoming. As the maid cleared the table, his mother coughed lightly and gestured for Ethan to speak with her alone. The lights in the villa were so dazzling, brighter than the August sun, making it hard to look up. They illuminated my slightly worn-out down jacket and faded jeans. It was the best outfit I owned. I sat on the edge of the European-style sofa, trying to make myself as small as possible. The servants' gazes, subtle yet sharp, flickered over me, and I could hear faint snickers, like knives scraping away at my pride. Then I heard his mother's hysterical shout, "She must be after your money, right? And she has no parents. What can she ever give you?" My heart felt like it had been brutally stomped on. The pain was so intense I could barely breathe. My head sank lower and lower. I dug my nails into my arm, telling myself not to cry. The next second, I heard a door slam. Ethan stormed towards me, his face dark with fury. He grabbed my hand as I sat hunched on the sofa. We're leaving, Ethan. If you walk out that door, don't you dare call me your mother again. His mom's voice rang out behind us. We won't give you a single penny. Hearing this, Ethan paused at the door. Before his mother could gloat, he turned back, snatched the gift I had brought, and yelled, "You don't deserve it." It was New Year's Eve. The streets were nearly empty, and even the subway had stopped running. We had no choice but to walk to a hotel. As we crossed an overpass, the wind howled through my hair. The quiet city was ablaze with lights, a sea of distant stars, but not a single one of them was for me. Without turning around, I lowered my head and whispered, "Ethan, let's break up." He said nothing. "Ethan, we should." He unzipped his jacket and wrapped me in his arms from behind. He held me tightly, silently, as if afraid I would vanish if he let go. The tension hung in the air. He buried his face in my neck and held me for a long, long time. Finally, he spoke, his voice soft but firm. "Leah, I'll give you a home." When I got back, Ethan was asleep on the sofa. I gently covered him with a blanket. His phone lit up with 2 unread messages. They were from Chloe. She dropped me home. "Don't worry, Mr. Miller." It was followed by a cute little girl emoji, winking goodnight. I felt I shouldn't doubt Ethan, but I couldn't stop myself from scrolling up through their chat history. "What's for lunch today, Mr. Miller? Did she make you a bento box?" "Yeah, come on, Mr. Miller. You should eat takeout with us single folks once in a while." "Tomorrow, maybe." The date was from 2 days ago. I remembered that the next day, Ethan had specifically told me not to wake up early to make him lunch. When I asked why, he hugged me from behind, kissed my neck, and said he was worried I was working too hard and wanted to give me a day off. "Mr. Miller, when are you two getting married?" The message was accompanied by an emoji of a little girl wiping away tears. He, who had been replying instantly, took 10 minutes to answer this one. He wrote, "I don't know." He said he didn't know. I put the phone down. There was no need to look any further. There were no explicit messages. Just Ethan replying instantly to Chloe while he was with me, referring to me as she, but in that context, it felt like I was the third wheel in their relationship. I put his phone back, went to the study, and tucked the medical report and the pregnancy test into the bottom drawer of the desk, along with our savings passbook. A wind had picked up outside, carrying the damp heat of a light rain into the room. I closed the door and sat at the desk in a daze. To be honest, I was scared when I got the results. I sat at the hospital entrance, watching the traffic, trying to think. I tried to figure out how to tell him in a way that wouldn't devastate him. Should I say it with a smile? "Ethan, I have good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first?" If he chose good news, I'd tell him he was going to be a father. If he chose bad news, I'd say I was just kidding. He would probably flick my forehead. And then I'd tell him about the cancer. He would surely hold me tight from behind, just like he did that night, and tell me not to be afraid. I would then comfort him, laugh at his worrying, and tell him I wasn't scared at all. Or should I just cry and tell him the truth? Tell him I was terrified, that I was afraid of the pain, afraid it couldn't be cured, afraid chemotherapy would make me bald, then I wouldn't be able to wear ponytails, and dresses wouldn't look good on me anymore. Tell him I couldn't bear to lose this baby. We had planned a Lego wall in the nursery of our new house. He said we'd have a daughter, and he would build Legos with her and buy her lots of beautiful dresses. He would surely say the most cliché but comforting things, that I would always be the most beautiful person in the world to him, that we would have many more children, and that this one was just being difficult, so we would let it go. But before I could decide, his call came. He said he wanted to postpone the wedding. I agreed without a moment's hesitation. He loved me so much. He had given up everything for me. How could I tie him down for life? In that moment, I even wished he didn't love me anymore. That way, he wouldn't be in pain. Perhaps, in that moment, a god happened to glance down at the mortal world and heard my wish. He really didn't love me as much as he used to. I desperately wanted to live, but I didn't know if living would hurt more than chemotherapy. I sat in the study all night, the wind blowing on my face, but I couldn't figure out what to do. Ethan woke up at 7, rubbing his temples. He pushed open the study door, dressed in suit trousers and a light blue shirt that accentuated his broad shoulders and narrow waist. He was a sight to behold. I was never one to judge by looks, but his face could still leave me breathless. He saw me sitting there and paused. "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing. I'm thinking of taking a leave of absence from work." Ethan smiled and reached out to ruffle my hair. "You can quit if you want. It's not like I can't support you." I gently moved away. His hand froze awkwardly in midair before he retracted it. "Why the leave?" "I've been tired lately. If you counted my part-time jobs, I'd probably been working for 9 years. I suppose I had a right to be tired. I'd been working part-time since college, right after graduation. I was the one supporting Ethan. Back then, he had cut ties with his family and was starting a business with his best friend. We were renting a small apartment, barely making ends meet. To save $100 on rent, I endured an extra hour on the subway. For my 8 a.m. shift, I had to wake up at 5:45. When I worked overtime until 9 p.m., I wouldn't get home and washed up until 11. I would fall asleep the second my head hit the pillow. We had no time and no money. There was one stretch where Ethan and I barely spoke for a week, but he always came home, no matter how late. One night, he forgot his keys. I woke up in the middle of the night, realized he wasn't there, and saw his message. I opened the door to find him asleep on the doormat. He had been afraid to knock and wake me, so he just decided to wait outside. Our poorest time was that first winter. My company was 2 months behind on my salary, and we were broke. Ethan came to pick me up from the subway station. As we walked across the overpass, we passed a new hot pot restaurant. The spicy beef tallow broth was their specialty. The line was long, and the steamy, fragrant aroma was intoxicating. Ethan said that when we had money, our first big meal would be hot pot, right at that restaurant. We'd get a split pot with spicy tallow and tomato broth and order 10 plates of lamb rolls. Why 10 plates? 5 to look at, 5 to cook, he said. Pfft. I don't eat hot pot with people who get split pots. Why are you so biased against split pots? It's like I don't talk to people who eat sweet. He choked on his own saliva before he could finish, coughing violently. I rushed to pat his back. As I did, our eyes met, and we suddenly burst out laughing. We laughed so hard we couldn't stand up straight, drawing stares from passers-by. Looking back now, I have no idea what we found so funny. Maybe it was just the simple joy of being poor together. We eventually had money, but that hot pot restaurant closed down. We never got to eat there. Once the memories start, they're hard to stop. Thinking of the past, my eyes suddenly welled up. Why are you crying? Ethan panicked, quickly wiping away my tears. Don't cry. It's nothing. I just don't want to work anymore. I'm so tired. I leaned against him. Okay, you rest. If your boss doesn't approve your leave, well, just quit. All right. Ethan knelt down, looking at me earnestly, his eyes overflowing with tenderness. 8 years had passed. The impulsive, reckless rich kid had matured into a man. I knew I shouldn't, but looking at that face, I still felt a pang of reluctance. After a moment's hesitation, I tugged at his shirt. Ethan, can you stay with me today? I thought to myself, if he stays, I'll lay everything out for him, whether we break up or try to fix things. We've been together for 8 years. We deserve some kind of resolution. I have a very important meeting today, but I'll come back early. You can catch up on sleep, watch a show, read a book. I'll be back before you know it. Okay. I let go of his shirt. He tucked me into bed and kissed my forehead, just like he always did. Be good. Go to sleep. I'll do all the dishes this month. Okay. And your birthday is next month. I'll buy you whatever you want. How about that? I nodded, and he seemed relieved. I watched as he gently closed the bedroom door, then heard the front door close. I was alone again. I agree. I bent my head, signed my name, and pushed the organ donation registration form to the female doctor across from me. Her name was Dr. Anderson. She was fair-skinned and looked to be a few years older than me. She asked with concern, "Does your family agree? If they object later, they can have this revoked on your behalf." "I don't have any family," I said with a small smile. "Donate whatever you can. At least someone would visit my grave periodically." I looked at her and noticed a flicker of apology cross her face. "Don't worry about it. It's okay. Actually, your situation isn't that bad. You need to be optimistic. Your mood greatly affects your condition," she said, seeming more anxious than I was. "Chemotherapy and targeted therapy will affect the fetus, so I don't recommend." I know. I had looked it up. In less severe cases, there was a chance for both mother and child to be safe, but in severe cases, doctors advised against continuing the pregnancy. If I had family with me, the doctors might have put on a show for my benefit, telling me my illness wasn't serious. I read a forum post yesterday where someone said that if you trick a patient into believing they're okay, their improved mood can lead to miracles. But there was no one to trick me. I couldn't leave her all alone in this world, to end up like me, at 7 weeks. "How big is it?" I asked, looking down with a faint smile. "I can't even feel anything. There's a heartbeat, so its heart is really beating." Yes, Dr. Anderson must have loved children. A small smile touched her lips as she said this. That's wonderful. I counted the months. If everything went well, the baby would be born next May. If everything went well. Seeing my expression, she hesitated for a moment before writing something on a piece of paper. This is my phone number. It's also my WhatsApp. If anything comes up, contact me directly. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. The bus home was crowded. As I sat, I sent Dr. Anderson a message. Hi Dr. Anderson. I looked it up online. They say that both pregnancy and late-stage cancer can cause nausea and loss of appetite. I can't tell the difference. As I was waiting for her reply, someone nudged me. Young lady, this is a priority seat for the elderly, disabled, and pregnant. You should get up and let this old gentleman sit. A white-haired but spry old man stood before me, flanked by a well-meaning middle-aged woman. You're young and strong. Standing for a while won't hurt, she added. Others on the bus chimed in. I took out my medical report and smiled. Am pregnant, have terminal stomach cancer, and am about to die. Can I please sit for a while? The entire bus fell silent. In that moment, I think everyone's conscience was pricked. For some reason, after saying that, I felt a sense of release. That's right. Am dying. What do I have to be afraid of anymore? I want to eat hot pot. Into the boiling red chili oil, Ethan dipped a piece of tripe, pulling it out after 15 seconds and placing it in my bowl. I took a small bite. It was crisp and tender, but I couldn't swallow it. For the past 2 days, I had found even swallowing to be a difficult task. My stomach had been hurting for 6 months, and I occasionally felt nauseous. I thought it was because I often skipped breakfast and ate at irregular times. Ever since I was a student, I had poor eating habits. My body had been sending me warning signs for a long time, but I hadn't paid them any mind. Pretending to wipe my mouth, I discreetly spit the tripe into a napkin. I should have stuck with the non-spicy broth. As I said this, Ethan was about to tease me for changing my mind when his phone lit up. He quickly typed a reply, a small smile on his face that he himself didn't notice. I rested my chin on my hand and watched him. Sometimes I wondered, why did I have to be the one who got sick? Why do people who hurt others get to live long, healthy lives? The happy birthday song started playing. The restaurant staff were approaching with a cake and a light-up sign. They lit the candles for me. He put his phone down and watched me make a wish. Ethan, I wish you a long and happy life. Do you like the gift? I did my homework, Ethan said, looking for praise. It was a beautiful oxhorn comb, smooth and warm to the touch. I love it, I said, smiling. Ethan, after dinner, I want to go see our new house. Of course, it's your birthday, whatever you want. Ethan leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. He frowned when he touched my arm. Why are you so thin? Are you on a diet? You know I don't mind if you gain weight. I haven't had much of an appetite lately. How should I put it? Sometimes. He was incredibly unobservant. For the past 2 months, I hadn't once said I couldn't be intimate because I was on my period, nor had I curled up in bed complaining of cramps, and he had forgotten to ask. I thought of the message Chloe had sent him, asking for a day off because of her period. Mr. Miller, my tummy hurts. What's wrong? I can't tell you. It's a girl thing. The message was accompanied by an emoji of a little kitten rolling on the floor. Ethan gave her 2 days off. She replied with a love you. Ethan didn't reply to that. The car window was cracked open, and the evening breeze, scented with camphor trees, whispered in my ear. Outside, the city lights blurred into a vibrant tapestry. Truthfully, I didn't believe Ethan was cheating. The evidence was thin. I could see right through the manipulative, tea-spilling tactics of a recent graduate. The torn wrapper could have been planted. Postponing the wedding might not have been because of Chloe. He might not have fallen for Chloe, but his love for me had definitely wavered. He could have chosen a male colleague to help him upstairs. He could have politely shut down her inappropriate chats. He could have not replied to her messages so quickly. He could have loved me a little more steadfastly, just like that New Year's Eve. If he had hesitated for even a second when I was being humiliated, I wouldn't have left with him. Love is a firm choice. Love doesn't waver. Once it wavers, crossing the line is only a matter of time. It was evening, a popular time for walks. As we entered the building, we saw many neighbors, with boisterous children running around. A little boy, running too fast, bumped into me. I instinctively protected my stomach. I'm so sorry, Maxwell. You get over here and apologize. The boy's mother dragged him over to me. This lady is so skinny. What if you had knocked her over? The mother had a loud, commanding voice that immediately subdued the boy. If you hurt someone old or weak, the police will take you to jail. The boy wilted, his head bowed. It's okay, I said, crouching down to comfort him. I'm fine. Do you live upstairs? Maxwell's mom asked. Yes, We haven't decided on the renovations yet. We're not in a hurry. So, you're getting married soon. I paused and looked up at Ethan. Before Ethan could answer, the elevator doors opened, cutting the conversation short. The apartment was a bare shell. We had chosen it for its abundant natural light. Across the street was a kindergarten, and a couple of blocks away were the elementary and middle schools. I opened the windows and turned on the lights. The evening breeze flowed in, breathing a little life into the empty space. I took Ethan's hand and pointed to the school across the street. Do you remember, when we bought this place, you said parent-teacher conferences would be so convenient, we'd play rock paper scissors, and the loser would have to go get scolded. Ethan smiled at the memory. I remember. And you said, why does it have to be scolding? And what did I say after that? You said if the kid was like you, they'd always be getting awards, and we'd be giving speeches as outstanding parents. The bedroom is big enough for a partition, so we can have 2 desks. You stopped playing video games in your sophomore year, and I always felt bad about that. The kitchen needs a powerful exhaust fan, because you'll definitely want to have hot pot at home. You said this would be the Lego wall, where you'd build with our daughter. I stood beside him, smiling as he opened the box of our shared memories. He remembered all the ways he had loved me, but when did the hand that held mine so tightly begin to loosen its grip? For a moment, the mature, well-dressed man before me blurred and merged with the memory of the wild, impulsive boy who had run away with me on New Year's Eve. They were the same, yet not. I didn't want to cry, but tears started to fall. Ethan was taken aback and rushed to wipe them away. Why are you always crying? What are you thinking about now? I rested my head on his shoulder. After a long moment, I said in a muffled voice, Ethan, I wish we could go back. Back to what? When we were at our poorest. What was so great about that? We were always hungry and getting pushed around. Not like now, where we can have hot pot whenever we want, or take a 10-day vacation. Yes, we were poor back then. We were always hungry and getting pushed around. What was so great about it? But why did I miss it so much? I seem to be getting worse, but it doesn't hurt that much. Dr. Anderson hadn't replied. I flushed the toilet, and the pool of blood I had just vomited was instantly gone. Clean again. If only memories could be flushed away so easily. I calculated the money I had saved over the years. Every penny was hard-earned, so I didn't want to waste it. I'll donate it all. I messaged the HR lady at our company, asking if she could fire Chloe and do me a favor. I had figured it out on the bus. I'm a simple person. I don't want to die, but I don't want them to have it easy either. There's no justice if people can do wrong without facing any consequences. I was the one who had hired this HR lady. She was 25, unmarried, and childless, and had struggled to find a job because employers feared she would get married and immediately go on maternity leave. I hired her because, at 25, I had been in her shoes. She was a fiery woman, her personality as spicy as her hometown's cuisine. When she saw the photo of the rapper in the car and the chat screenshots, she exploded. Should I blur out Mr. Miller's name? No need. It takes 2 to tango. Sis, don't worry. If you kick him to the curb, I'm with you. See, all women have the same standards. We don't tolerate betrayal, and we can't stomach manipulative games. It wasn't just me being sensitive. Ethan would probably find out about this in half an hour and call or text me to explain. If he drove home, it would take 40 minutes. I thought for a moment, then packed a bag, a canvas tote with my ID, phone, and some cash. Oh, and I had to keep the organ donation form with me. Before closing the door, I looked back at the room one last time. The sun was bright today, and there was no wind. The washing machine was still running. I had thrown a load of laundry in before I left, forgetting that there might be no one to hang it up to dry. We had lived here for 3 years. Every corner held a shared memory. The welcome mat at the entrance, the jar of candies on the coffee table that we bought together but never finished because they tasted awful, a grease stain on the sofa where he had spilled his spicy soup and earned a scolding from me. I couldn't look anymore. If I did, I wouldn't be able to leave. To the train station, please, I told the taxi driver. I turned off my phone and looked out the window. The city I had grown so tired of suddenly felt precious, as if I couldn't get enough of it. I greedily drank in the scenery. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror and smiled. First time in the city, young lady. No, I'm leaving. When Ethan finished his meeting, the pictures and chat logs had already spread through the company's gossip groups. Chloe was at her desk, her eyes swollen from crying, sobbing. That's not what I meant. I wasn't flirting with Mr. Miller. Ethan's first thought was to confront Leah. Leah, can you stop being so unreasonable? Did you even think about how I'm supposed to handle the fallout at work when you sent that? I'm coming home now. He should have known. When he had called her to postpone the wedding, her calm reaction was abnormal, so this was her revenge. No reply to his texts. Phone turned off. Leah was never like this. She always said what was on her mind. On the drive home, Ethan's anger slowly subsided and was replaced by a sudden, gut-wrenching panic. Had this same baseless feeling since that night he came home drunk. She had been acting strangely lately. Would she break up with him? He parked the car and bolted upstairs. The apartment was empty, but the washing machine was still running. The sound of the spin cycle was a small comfort. She was probably just angry. Turned off her phone to be alone for a bit. She would probably be back by evening. It wasn't a big deal. He hadn't cheated. The thing in the car wasn't his, and the chat logs weren't explicit. He just had a slight crush on the new girl, Chloe. She was full of life, and she didn't treat him with the usual deference of a subordinate, which he found refreshing. He had entertained a fleeting thought, but he hadn't crossed any lines. He just saw her as a cute little sister, that's all. They'd had fights like this before. They would argue. Leah would start crying. He would kneel to wipe her tears, apologize sincerely, and promise to do the dishes for the next month. And they would make up. This time would be no different. They had been together for 8 years. They knew each other inside and out. What could possibly go wrong? Ethan let out a sigh of relief and sank onto the sofa, preparing to call her again. Just then, a call came in from the company's vice president, his college roommate and business partner, Mark. Dude, what are you doing? Don't you know not to shit where you eat? I fired that Chloe girl. You need to apologize to Leah. Now. You don't abandon the one who's been with you through thick and thin. Don't be an idiot. Mark's words reignited Ethan's anger. He roared into the phone. I don't know what she's so crazy about. I didn't do a damn thing. I can't even find her. There was a pause on the other end. Did she run away from home? Went back to her mom's. I'm an expert on this, bro. Check her stuff. See if her clothes, ID, and luggage are gone. If they are, she's definitely bought a ticket home. You need to call your mother-in-law. Apologize. And bring some gifts over. Run away. Where would she go? Other girls would go home crying, waiting for their boyfriends to come groveling. But her. Ethan knew about Leah's past. She had been abandoned at birth and raised by an elderly woman who collected scraps for a living. The woman had passed away when Leah was in high school. That's why she had always worked part-time, supporting herself. Where could she possibly go? Ethan checked the room. Her ID was gone, but her clothes were all there. She couldn't have gone far. She probably just went out for a meal, did some shopping. She'd use his card, and her anger would cool down. 24 hours passed. Leah didn't come back. Ethan paced the room. Give it another day, then we should call the police, Mark said, patting Ethan's shoulder. I know how this goes. She blocks your number, mute your chat, but she's still checking her phone. You just have to bombard her with apologies. She'll reply eventually. Ethan had a nagging feeling that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Maybe it was because Leah had been so different lately. She hadn't affectionately linked her arm through his in a long time. She hadn't smiled happily in a long time. That day, when he had opened the study door, she was standing by the window, as ethereal as a wisp of smoke. It felt like if he moved closer, she would dissipate. He remembered the look in her eyes when she turned to him. Disappointment, with a hint of longing. It was the first time he had seen such an expression on her face. 48 hours passed. No word from Leah. Call the police. Man, what is your relationship to the missing person? Ms. Leah, the officer asked. Are you her husband? The question stopped Ethan short. No, I'm her boyfriend. The police officer nodded knowingly, as if to say, oh, a couple's quarrel, normal. Try to remember anything she said before she left, or any places she might have gone. Well, file a report. They would file a report. The unspoken words were, but we can't open a case. Mark explained to Ethan that it couldn't be treated as a missing person case since he wasn't a direct relative. Ethan thought hard about Leah's personality, about things she had said in jest. We've been together for so long. If you ever wrong me, it'll make our breakup a nightmare. It'll take all the money we've earned as compensation for my wasted youth. So this wasn't just a tantrum. It was a final breakup. So that day in the study, she had sensed something and was planning to take her severance pay. Ethan floored the gas pedal and sped home. That's Leah for you. Between a man and money, she firmly chose money, Mark quipped from the passenger seat, trying to lighten the mood. Don't joke about this. He pulled open the drawer in the study. The passbook was there. The bank cards were there. And, in that instant, Ethan felt all the blood in his body rush to his head. So, bro, how much did she run off with? Mark started to ask, playfully patting Ethan's shoulder. Ethan didn't seem to hear him. He started shaking, picking up his phone and dialing her number over and over, only to get the same turned-off message. Leah, please pick up. Leah, I'm begging you, pick up the phone. Mark stared at the frantic, disoriented man before him. He had known Ethan for 9 years. He had seen him ambitious, seen him broke, but he had never seen him this panicked. He looked like a man whose soul had been ripped out, collapsed on the floor. Did Leah take all the money? With that thought, Mark cautiously pushed open the door. Inside, Ethan sat on the floor with his back to him, holding a medical report in one hand, the other tangled in his hair in a gesture of utter helplessness. Mark saw that his eyes were red. The next second, tears began to fall, desperately searching for a glimmer of hope. Ethan read the few lines on the report over and over, until the words became a blur. Is this Leah's? She's sick. She's pregnant. When did this happen? Why didn't she say anything? What a... Ethan sat at the hospital entrance, his eyes red as he stubbed out another cigarette. He couldn't find the right word to describe himself. He saw the doctor's name on the report and rushed back into the hospital to find her. What is your relationship to the patient? The doctor's name was Anderson. She was young, but she spoke with the weariness of someone who had seen too much of life and death. I'm her boyfriend. A boyfriend is not family. I cannot disclose patient information due to privacy laws. Dr. Anderson, I'm begging you. I can't find her. Ethan was at his wit's end. Dr. Anderson was his only lifeline. I can't tell you, but that day, what the patient didn't say, I can't say either. Dr. Anderson looked at the disheveled, reedied man before her without a trace of pity, only a sense of ridicule. If he were a good man, Leah wouldn't have said she was alone when she came here. You should know better than me where she might have gone. Dr. Anderson said, pressing the call button. Mr. Miller, please don't take up time from other patients. Ethan sat numbly at the hospital entrance. Cars streamed by. People walked with their heads down, in a hurry. Their steps were like the wind, like a river, rushed and self-absorbed. Everyone had a place to go, but he had nowhere. He saw the date of the initial diagnosis on the report. That afternoon. What was going through Leah's mind when she received 2 pieces of life-altering news at once? She was easily scared. Was she afraid? She cried so easily. Did she sit here, all alone, crying for a long time? Ethan didn't know. He should have been by her side. What was he doing at that moment? He was at a business dinner. Chloe had poured him a glass of wine, toasting him with her juice, and he had downed it in one go. Ethan admitted that when he saw Chloe in her sundress, his thoughts had not been entirely honorable. And then he made that call, telling her they should wait on the wedding. He had rejected her first. That's why she hadn't said anything. That was Leah. Once rejected, she would never bring it up again, probably because of her childhood. She was a very sensitive person, sensitive to love, and sensitive to the lack of it, like the time she wanted to get a cat. What had he said? It's not a good time for us to have a pet. Leah knew it better than he did, so she would just pet the cats she met on the street, or at the pet store. She would gently poke a kitten's paw through the glass. She wanted one so badly, but she still let him pull her away. He should have bought her one. They had money then. It was just a cat, just like getting married. They could have just done it. The rest of their problems could be figured out over the next 50 years, but at the time, he felt that after 8 years together, their lives were so intertwined that marriage didn't seem to matter. He was such a coward. It was just a piece of paper. Why was he so stingy with it? Bro, log into her travel apps, check her reservations, see where she booked a hotel or bought a ticket. Mark's suggestion jolted him. She had gone to a small, obscure town, then taken a taxi. The order showed the destination as a supermarket in a remote village. At the foot of a mountain was a tiny, rundown supermarket and a bus that only came once in a blue moon. Ethan didn't know why she would come here, but the village was small, so asking about a stranger's whereabouts was relatively easy. Ethan showed her picture to the supermarket owner. I think a young woman like that came by a few days ago. Don't know what happened to her. She just sat there all afternoon. Didn't say a word. The owner's wife added, I think she left on the bus later. Where did she sit? Up on the hill behind us, the wife said, gesturing with her chin. There's an old cemetery up there. Been there for years. It was more of a mound than a mountain. Just a short walk up. Ethan paid the owner's wife, and she led him. Right here. A small, earthen grave, with no name, only a pile of burnt paper ash. Leah had no relatives, only the grandmother who had passed away when she was in high school. Leah had said that after they got married, she would bring him here to meet her grandmother. Why not now? No. What if we break up? Leah's expression was serious. My grandmother was very good to me. I can't just introduce you to her lightly. It'll be good to you too. Then your grandmother will visit you in your dreams and scold you for not bringing your grandson-in-law to see her sooner. Pfft. Give me a break. Ethan, Leah, be honest. Haven't I been good to you? He hadn't been good to her. She had no one. So she must have been missing her grandmother. What was she thinking that afternoon? Sitting here, did she complain about him? Or did she not mention him at all? Ethan didn't know. He didn't know much about Leah's past, only that she was reluctant to talk about it. Whenever he brought up her family, her eyes would well up. He remembered the hardship they faced after he cut ties with his family. He had fallen while rushing to catch the subway for a client meeting, scraping his knee. The skin and fabric of his pants had stuck together. That night, taking off his pants was agony. Leah sat beside him, applying antiseptic, nagging him for being careless. What had he said? He told her it didn't hurt, to stop being so fussy, that it was annoying, so she pressed down harder, dabbing the iodine on his wound. He yelped in exaggerated pain. He was the one in pain. But somehow, her tears started to fall. Hey, don't cry. I was kidding. It really doesn't hurt. But Leah just cried. He couldn't understand how such a small person could produce so many tears. When she finally dried her eyes, she looked up at him, her eyes red. Ethan, you have a family. You should go home. Don't waste your life with me. I'm not going back. They don't want me anymore. No parents truly stop loving their child. They were just angry. She knew better than anyone that such parents existed. No, if they don't want you, I don't want them, he had said, pretending to be angry. If you try to send me away again, I'll be really mad. She had looked at him, stunned for a moment, and then she smiled. He never understood how girls could switch from tears to laughter so quickly, but she was so cute, with her red-rimmed eyes and her smile. For 6 years, in his youthful pride, he had never gone back home. Then, the company finally started to take shape. You should buy them a gift. Go apologize to your mom. She probably misses you a lot, Leah had advised him. She had never known the warmth of a parent's love, so she was soft-hearted, quick to forgive. Even after his mother had said such cruel things, she said being a mother was hard, that she had carried him for 10 months and worked hard to raise him, and he shouldn't break her heart. Before he could feel touched, she had added with a pout, but I'm not seeing her. All right, so she held a grudge. It was autumn. The evening wind and the memories were as sharp as a blade, cutting into his heart. Ethan's vision blurred. He fumbled to light a cigarette, but his hands were shaking too much. His throat and chest felt like they were being crushed by a heavy weight. He couldn't swallow it, couldn't cough it up. It was suffocating him. What a monster he had been. When he found her, he would immediately buy her a cat. Then, whether she wanted to or not, he would drag her to the city hall. He would never let her do the dishes again. Never play rock paper scissors to decide who cooked. He would do it all. Grandma, I'm sorry. I didn't take good care of Leah. She's angry with me. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me. Please, help me find her. Leah's trail went cold here. She hadn't used any apps to buy tickets or book a room. Ethan posted on his social media, on every platform. It was their old college advisor who saw the post and contacted him. I heard from some students that someone saw Leah on campus. She had gone back to the city where they went to college. I saw your post. I thought you two would have been married by now, the advisor said. Your love story was legendary in your year. Before he could go to the university to look for her, he got the call from the hospital. The news came in a devastating, overwhelming wave. Grief doesn't give you time to prepare. It lies in wait in the shadows, ready to strike. She had the donation form with her. It's such a shame. So young. People bustled through the hospital corridors, their faces grim. This place was no stranger to tears and sorrow. Even the gods had become accustomed to the partings here, passing by without a second glance. He had been chasing after her, but he was always one step behind. She must have hated him so much, to leave him with nothing. What is your relationship to her? I'm her boyfriend. According to regulations, I can't give these to you. You are not family. I'm begging you. Ethan grabbed the nurse's sleeve and sank to his knees. The nurse, holding a box of her belongings, looked troubled. Please, I really don't know what to do anymore. Passers-by stared. Please don't do this. You're making it very difficult for me. These items have to be handed over to the police for the family to claim. What if there is no family to claim them? They might be destroyed. In any case, we can't just give them to anyone. Mark pulled Ethan up, apologizing profusely to the nurse. Don't make her job harder. She's just doing her duty. There's nothing valuable in there. I'll call a friend at the police station. See if we can work something out. If you keep making a scene, it's going to be impossible. Mark half coaxed, half tricked Ethan away. Let's get something to eat first. Okay, even if you can handle it. I can't. Let's go to that place. Ethan hadn't eaten in 2 days. Mark was relieved to hear him speak. He parked the car at the university entrance. The beef noodle soup shop was still there. The couple who owned it now had twin daughters, laughing and chasing each other in the sunlight. Ethan, it's you. The owner's wife recognized him, her face lighting up. She looked behind him. Where's Leah? Didn't she come with you? The beef noodle soup and a hot, crispy flatbread were served. Mark knew that Ethan still hadn't gotten over his aversion to beef noodle soup. He was eating mechanically. When the nausea rose in his throat, he forced himself to swallow, to push it down. Mark wanted to say something, but he didn't know what. He watched with a frown as Ethan finished the bowl. He sat with his head bowed, silent. Mark couldn't see his face, only the tears falling one by one. He lowered his head even further, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I was going to marry her, but I'll never know if Leah would still want to marry me. I can never know now. Mark managed to get Leah's phone. The password was his birthday. He knew it. He opened her messages. The first one was from him. Leah, don't be angry anymore. When you come back, let's get a cat. Okay. He scrolled up. There were several unread messages from him. Leah, don't do anything stupid. Call me when you see this. Leah, I was wrong. Please, just talk to me. Leah, can you stop being so unreasonable? Did you even think about how I'm supposed to handle the fallout at work when you sent that? I'm coming home now. She had seen them all. He saw a contact named Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson, I'm sorry to bother you again. I just have no one else to talk to. There was a half-hour gap between the messages. She wrote, Doctor, I'm so scared. I don't want to die. Dr. Anderson must have been asleep. She hadn't replied. Then, a long silence. She hadn't bothered her again. It was from the night after her birthday dinner. At 3 in the morning, he had been fast asleep beside her. She would rather talk to a doctor she barely knew than wake him up. How disappointed in him was she. Doctor, if it doesn't hurt much, does that mean it's not serious? No. The absence of pain could mean it has spread extensively. Symptoms vary from person to person. I see. Thank you, doctor. Ethan sat on the floor, numbly opening every app she had used. On her shopping app, she had searched for baby clothes, men's winter coats, and a wedding veil. On a forum, she had searched for stomach cancer while pregnant and how long can you live with stomach cancer. She had requested to join a cancer diary group. The admin had just approved her request yesterday. She had also searched for rental apartments near the university. Ethan suddenly remembered what she had said that night. Ethan, I wish we could go back. She wanted to go back to the past because the Ethan of the past was there. The Ethan who would eat beef noodle soup for a year just to win her over. Who would stand by her side without hesitation when she was at her lowest. Who, with nothing to his name, would hold her tight and say, I'll give you a home. We don't have to keep looking for a place to live. No one can kick us out. He still remembered the day she said yes. He was waiting for her after class. The wind was so strong it felt like a hurricane. It was his 9th time asking her out. He thought she would reject him again, like the 8 times before, but Leah had blushed and nodded. It was as if the wind had stopped, and the whole world had gone quiet. The Ethan back then was not the Ethan of today, who said he loved her but always made her wait. The ones who truly mean to leave never say goodbye. They just pick a sunny afternoon, put on their favorite coat, walk out the door, and never come back. Ethan's insomnia began. Sometimes he couldn't tell if he was asleep or awake. The neurologist wouldn't prescribe him more than a minimal dose of medication. Mark thought Ethan had lost his mind. He was spending a fortune on psychics. Most of them were frauds, taking his money and spinning tales. They were so obviously fake that even Mark couldn't stand it. They said Leah had forgiven him, that she still wanted to marry him, that she had never hated him. Ethan would listen intently, and when he heard that Leah still wanted to marry him, he would smile gently. Then please, tell her to wait for me. He often had hallucinations of Leah still being there. The hot water was still running. The razor blades were still sharp. Her shampoo wasn't finished. Her towel was still hanging in the bathroom. Ethan remembered her saying that this brand of shampoo was cheap and good, but it was being discontinued. She used to ask him what he liked about her. He always said it was her long, dark hair. The truth he would never admit was that it was love at first sight. He had just come out of an all-night gaming session at an internet cafe when he saw her. She was giving a bowl of hot soup and a flatbread to an old woman who collected scraps, saying it was on the house, but he saw her secretly pay for it. It was late autumn. The dim yellow light cut through the morning mist, illuminating her face. He thought he had seen an angel. Of course, He would rather die than admit to his friends that he had fallen for a kind girl. They all talked about liking girls with big chests and fair skin. If he said he liked a kind girl, how lame would that be? So he just said he liked her long hair. In truth, long or short, it didn't matter. Even if she were bald, it wouldn't matter. He loved her all the same. But Leah, for all her kindness, held a grudge. That's why, even in death, she had donated everything she could. She wouldn't leave him a single thing to hold on to, not even a place where he could apologize. Her scent was fading from the room. It was strange, but women really did have a unique fragrance. People said it was just perfume seeping into the skin, but Ethan knew it was different. He had seen other girls at the office wear the same brand of perfume, but only she had that scent that brought him peace. It was like cat fur warmed by the sun, like a cozy blanket on a rainy day, like something familiar that he could never put into words. When he couldn't sleep or felt sick, he would just pull her close, bury his face in her neck like he was nuzzling a cat, and feel an immediate sense of calm, like a patient arriving at a hospital. Her things were all around him, her scent still lingered in the room. It felt like on any sunny afternoon, she might open the door and say with a laugh, "Did I get you? Did you actually cry? Okay, don't be mad, I'll do the dishes." Alright. The moment a loved one dies is not the hardest part. The hardest part is the quiet room in the afternoon, the dark window when you come home at night, and the empty space on the pillow when you roll over in the middle of the night. Before his consciousness faded into darkness, Ethan made a wish. He wanted to go back to the day the wind stopped,